So are we ready to go to Whirl Islands? No, we aren't. Because we have to go say hi to Arthur of Thursday. Violet. Yep. He is on Route 36 on the side of Violet side, I guess. East side of the Sudowoodo tree mark. So he'll be like right here. I believe, if I remember correctly, he gives you the hard stone. Yep, hard stone. Hard stone is 10% to rock type moves. To be honest, not a lot of Pokemon could use it correctly. Because, well, there's only like one good rock type. But I guess if you had a Geodude from early on, because Geodude breaks the early parts of the game and it's not decent, or it's not decent, it's a decent team member. It works pretty well. But now we're gonna head to, I'm gonna take the path straight to Lugia to kind of show silver players where to go, because I'm pretty sure the map is the same. Might be slightly different. But you take the northeast island and you kill every Pokemon in your path because they're annoying you and won't go away. But what I'm going to talk about, I've talked about the Psychic type and how it kind of just dominated the first generation and how it kind of slowed down in the second and still a good type and all that. But I'm going to talk about not the two new types, but I'm going to talk about two types that kind of got buffed, so to say, as we go into Generation 2. One of them didn't really get buffed, it just kind of worked out. One of them was the Fighting type. Fighting type was trash in the first generation. I consider it the worst type, merely because there was no good Fighting type. The best Fighting type was Poliwrath, and that was because it had a Water type. Like, really? I can't think of one good reason to use a Fighting type in Generation 1. There's no good ones. Like, yeah, maybe you use a Charmander, but even then, I don't think Mankey's available in Red Blue. So, it's kind of useless. Can you actually just get around from the entrance? Let me check this. No, you cannot. Good thing I went around. Alright, it is dark and scary in here, so let's light it up. I'm just going to show the initial path you need to take. No item. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to go up. I'm going to have to retry to get through most of this, by the way, so it's going to take a while, but I'm just trying to show the initial path you want to take for Lugia. I keep changing my pronunciation on that, by the way, so it's wrong no matter what I do. But when it comes to the Fighting type, you had Poliwrath, the only one, and that's because it was a Water type, and Submission was your best move. I mean, High Jump came from Hitmonlee, but that was exclusive at the time. So, what can you really do about that? So, when it comes to Fighting types, what changed coming over to Gen 2? Not a lot, actually. Yeah, there were some new Fighting types introduced. Hitmontop being one of them. Tyrogue being the baby form of the 3 Hitmons. But, what did they get? Well, the whole entire Fighting type didn't really get a lot. Cross Chop became a move. Karate Chop finally became a Fighting type move, which I don't know how that was normal type in Gen 1, but it is. So, it didn't really get a lot, but what it did give Machamp specifically was enough power to take on Snorlax in specific fights. And that was enough to skyrocket Fighting type into a usable type. Doesn't mean it was good, not even fucking close. It was a shamble of a mess of type, and overall, no, we don't talk about Fighting types. We talk about Machamp in this generation, merely because Cross Chop was a thing. So here's Waterfall. If you go down it, you will go down, and if you look up, it'll be like, it's a huge waterfall. You need the 8th gym badge and Waterfall, of course, which you should have gotten in, what's it called? Ice Path. I almost called it Ice Cave again. But you should have it by this point. We just need the gym badge, which we will come back to once we can get to Lugia. Changing the pronunciation every time. But Fighting types were garbage. And there's also another type that was Pretty bad too. So if we go here, there's nothing here. If you have the Silver Wing though, which Silver players should have at this time, you can get Lugia to activate and then capture it. And Lugia is a very good Pokemon. So I just want to point that out. But when it comes to the other type I wanted to talk about, and that is the Poison type. Hey, Golbat, you're here. Golbat's actually an example of something that kind of changed with Generation 2. So when you think of Poison types in Generation 1, there are only 3 that really comes to mind as being usable. And one of them is just because of its other typing. Poison type was actually a negative when it came to typings. Merely because, I mean, Psychic just dominated it. So, you have Venusaur, merely because it was a decent sleeper, though it was highly outclassed by Executor, who had the Psychic subtyping, and Psychic, duh. But, when it comes to other ones, you had things like Gengar, merely because the Ghost type, being immune to normal, was super useful. And even in this generation, it was still super useful, even though a lot more things packed Earthquake. So it was kind of scary. And the other one would be Tentacruel, though that one was lesser and more just because it had a strong water type move. It wasn't that great. It was usable, don't get me wrong, but Tentacruel was a struggle. And that's really it. You can't, I mean, Weezing was garbage. Muck was garbage. Don't even talk about Beedrill, that's not a Pokemon. Victory Bell was a lesser Venusaur who was a lesser Executor because Executor packed Psychic. Vileplume was in the same boat as Victory Bell. Arbok, what a joke. Golbat, it took an evolution and then another generation to even get close. Like, we can't... The Poison type was bad at the end of the day. And one of the main reasons it was really bad was because of its... Not because of the move pools. The move pools were actually pretty good for some of them. But it was merely because there was no good poison move. Sludge was the best move of the poison variety. Well, besides Toxic, but Toxic didn't work properly. You could switch out and be regular poison. So, Toxic, while it became the best move in Generation 1 was, without a doubt, Sludge. I'm actually gonna go up, I think. We'll check that first. But, overall, when it came to Pokemon that became better as Generation 2 hit, I'd say Gengar improved a little bit, got Ice Punch, and it could still be its normal immunity, though Earthquake still hit hard, Psychic still somewhat hit hard, especially with the fact that Special is now not one stat. Tentacruel got better, though that was due to Rapid Spin. I guess you can't even go up. What a waste of time. But, and then we have, well, thank you Golbat for showing up. We have evolutions to Golbat, which became Crobat, which is a fast Pokemon. And it's actually surprisingly tanky. People don't really seem to realize that it's quite tanky for a Pokemon. Like, yeah, it's not like super like Regirock on the physical side or Regice on the special defense, but it's still a pretty tanky Pokemon for a bat. So when it comes to Crobat, did do well in Gen 2? Not really. It was fast and that was about it. So it didn't get to really use it. Gen 3 on the other hand, it really came out and showed what it could do. And then Gen 4 got better with U-Turn, Roost. Nasty Plot became a egg move which allowed it to sweep specially. Which was always a nice, like, joke kind of thing to throw at people. Overall, Crobat did pretty bad in second generation. And a lot of the poison types still were garbage. Like, Muck got slightly better because Special became 2 stats. And it could tank a lot more now, where others couldn't. Weezing became a lot better. Physical defense, though Earthquake hurt a lot. Let's see. Beedrill's still garbage. I mean, it's a bug. Doesn't get good for 4 more generations. And even then, it takes a Mega Evolution. A finicky one, too. So when it comes to when it comes to, like, poison types that did well, there were a lot in this generation. And it only got worse with the steel type introduced. I mean, think about this. You come into the first generation, and this is the first generation of Pokemon. Fighting's garbage. Alright. Poison's garbage. Okay. Grass is somehow better than both those types at this point. You have to think about this. Grass is better. And then they're like, well, let's introduce 2 new types. Alright. Dark and Steel. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. What about the 2 worst types? Fighting and Poison. What do they do to the 2 new types? Well, Fighting can have super effective on Dark and Steel. Alright, so what can Poison do? It's neutral to Dark, alright. And Steel is immune to Poison. I don't know how they thought that was fair. But Poison just kind of got crapped on, especially since they changed Bug and Poison's effectiveness to each other. I believe Poison was super effective on Bug in the first generation, and then it became not very effective in future generations, which is just stupid. It's like they don't want Poison types to be used. And then they were like, well, let's fix this in Generation 6. Added the Fairy type. Well, what's the super effective? Poison. There you go. That's how you fix a type right there. You just give an overpowered type that counteracts another type, and then you bring one of your terrible types to be super effective on the first overpowered type that was sent in to balance the overpowered type. I'm talking about Dragon, which sucks in this generation too. Like in the first generation it was bad, merely because there was no Dragon move that mattered. And where am I at? Looks like southwest or maybe southeast. Can I get a whirlpool so I can get out? Come on, I need a whirlpool. Seriously? It has to be up here then. No. Oh, we are actually southeast island. I recognize that girl as one of the girls I could not find. But when it came to types, ultimately, what was I gonna say? Ultimately, they improved. Poison type got a lot better, mostly because apparently Weezing rocks with Will-O-Wisp. Gengar finally gets a stab that matters in 4th generation. I think I'm actually just gonna fly to Olivine, and then we will pick off the rest of the islands in the next part. So with that, I'm gonna end my little typing dispute. Actually, I'm just gonna heal and then race off to the ocean. And then next time we will actually we will probably be cutting around so I can get all the island entrances without you wasting your time. Because this was just kind of a show and tell on how to catch Lugia and some item grabbing. So next time we will be taking on the rest of the Whirl Islands and probably heading into the 8th gym after that. So till then.